Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So 34-year-old Missouri resident and Marine veteran John Todd III headed to the Capitol following Donald Trump's speech on January 6th. Todd was carrying a tent pole with a flag tied to the end, and he was seen on video climbing a set of stairs under the inauguration scaffolding first. Short time after that, Todd was seen illegally entering the Capitol. He entered through the Upper West Terrace door, and he made his way over to the rotunda area. And when the police came in, they ordered everyone to leave, of course. Todd refused. And instead, he maneuvered to the front of the mob and he got in the officers' faces. He started screaming at them. He was resisting their efforts to physically clear the area. And Todd was seen and heard on video yelling at one officer, quote, "I swear to God, I'll hip toss your ass into the fucking crowd, motherfucker." Then he yelled at the police in general, saying, quote, "We've exhausted every fucking legal route." Yeah, that's called a clue, guy. That's because the court said there's no evidence of fraud. So just go home. Anyway, the police eventually formed a line. They started marching towards the mob and they started ordering everyone to back up, trying to push them toward the door. Well, Todd was pressing against the officers and he yelled, quote, "I ain't fucking moving." And then an officer named Rathbun tried to take his flagpole because the officer thought that Todd was about to strike the police with it. So then Todd and Rathbun were tugging over this. They were playing tug of war over this pole. And it was apparently made of fiberglass. And Todd yelled at the officer, at Officer Rathbun, quote, "I'm not fucking moving. Get your hands off me. Get your fucking hands off me. I'm not fucking touching nobody." So the pole eventually splintered. And so it created these jagged fiberglass shards. And Todd saw that. He knew that it had splintered. So he jerked the pole out of Rathbun's hands and it ended up slicing the officer's finger open at the knuckle. So Officer Rathbun was forced to seek immediate medical attention because he was bleeding everywhere. He ended up needing seven stitches, by the way. And eventually, the other police officers were able to force Todd and everybody else out of the rotunda and then out of the building. But Todd still didn't leave the Capitol grounds. So Todd was seen on video. He was on the Northwest Terrace, and he was telling people, quote, "We were inside yelling, 'We need more people,' until they pushed us out." And when officers tried to clear the Northwest Stairs, Todd was seen pushing his body against the police riot shields again, and then he was seen banging his hands against an officer's shield, and Todd yelled at all the police, quote, "Come on, drop your shit, let's go right now." So presumably, trying to challenge them to a fight, and he accused them of being pedophiles, and Todd yelled to the mob that they, quote, "need more people," so he's encouraging more people to attack the police, and then Todd later moved over to another area. He moved over to the Lower West Terrace Tunnel. He stood there watching for a while the mob was assaulting officers in that area, and then eventually he left the Capitol grounds sometime later. So as he was leaving, though, he was interviewed by a journalist. This was near the National Mall. And when the journalist asked him what the people should do at this point, Todd said, quote, "The people should stand up and fight." So Todd was arrested on May 10th of 2022, and he was initially charged with only the 4 basic misdemeanors because they didn't know about the assaults. So he was charged with entering a restricted building or grounds, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, and parading or demonstrating in a Capitol, or in a Capitol building, I should say. But during his preparation for his December 2023 trial, the investigators found videos showing his assault on Officer Rathbun. So in December of 2023, the grand jury indicted Todd on an additional charge of assault. So that was added to the list of crimes. Then based on his own grand jury testimony. Todd went and testified before the grand jury. They ended up issuing a second superseding indictment, and they charged him with another crime. They charged him with obstructing an official proceeding. So Todd stupidly refused a plea deal, and in February of 2024, the jury found him guilty on all 6 counts. So Todd faced up to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines based on just the obstruction conviction. And this time, the government requested a pretty significant sentence. They asked for 151 months in prison, so about 12 and a half years. Plus, they asked for 3 years of probation, and then $4,514.68 in restitution. So that restitution fee represents the amount of money that it cost the police department because Officer Rathbun was out of work for 9 days. So they had to replace him because of his injuries. And Todd has a bit of a criminal history. He has 3 criminal convictions on his record since he became an adult. One was for just using an expired Metrolink pass, but the other 2 were for driving under the influence. And in one of those instances, he was caught with weed and other drug paraphernalia. And then Todd was also given an other than honorable discharge from the military because apparently he had some sort of alcohol issues. They described it as alcohol abuse and incidents resulting from serious alcohol abuse. And the prosecutor says that while Todd has been out on pretrial release for this case, the police have been called out to deal with him several times. So the first incident was in September of 2022. Todd's ex-wife called the police. She told them he's suicidal, he has a gun. I don't know what happened, how that all shook out, but it apparently was not good. And then in April of 2023, Todd was caught climbing up the side of a building. And when they found him, he had razor blades and knives in his pockets. And evidently, he was climbing up this building to try to get into the home of a man who is seeing his ex-wife. So when the police arrived, they saw that he had 3 3-inch cuts on the inside of his forearm. And Todd admitted to the police, yeah, I tried to kill myself. So at that point, they took him in. They did a 96-hour mandatory hold and psych evaluation. And so the court was very concerned about this. They were so concerned that they put him in a high-intensity supervision program. And Todd was forced to move in with his sister, who lives in another state, just so she could watch over him. So Todd's attorney has argued for leniency. He had said that, just place him in a mental health program because he said Todd has PTSD from his time in the military. Apparently, he served in Afghanistan. So U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell presided over Todd's case, and at the sentencing hearing, she told him, quote, "This is not a patriot. This is not conduct becoming of a Marine." And then the judge also commented on January 6th in general. She said, quote, "This was a dangerous first, where the peaceful transition to a new presidential administration was disrupted." In the end, though, Judge Howell gave him a break. She sentenced Todd to only 5 years in prison. There's no other information in the court docket yet. It hasn't been updated, so I don't know. I'm assuming she probably gave him the standard of 3 years probation. Judge Howell is pretty tough, so she probably did allow for that fine or that restitution fee that they were asking for to cover the time that the officer was out of work. But if I hear any more, I will definitely let you know. This was, in my opinion, not good enough, for how this guy acted. But I guess it's decent comparatively, compared to the other cases that we've seen. Anyway, like I said, if I hear any more, I will definitely let you know. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please please share this video, please become a supporter and a subscriber of the show. Costs you nothing to subscribe. A lot of you still watching are not subscribed. Only about 30% of you who watch are actually subscribers of the show. So just click that button. You'll be notified of all my new videos that come out. really helps with the show. It helps to, get the algorithms going. It helps with people coming on the show. I can get guests that, normally wouldn't appear on smaller shows like this with more subscribers. So really appreciate it. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.